young gentleman at Colchester has so many happy turns given it to expose the crime and warn all whose circumstances are adapted to it of the ruinous end of such things and the foolish, thoughtless, and abhorred conduct of both the parties, that it abundantly atones for all the lively description she gives of her folly and wickedness. The repentance of her lover at the bath, and how brought by the just alarm of his fit of sickness to abandon her, the just caution given there against even the lawful intimacies of the dearest friends, and how unable they are to preserve the most solemn resolutions of virtue without divine assistance, these are parts which to a just discernment will appear to have more real beauty in them than all the amorous chain of story which introduces it. In a word, as the whole relation is carefully garbled of all the levity and looseness that was in it, so it is all applied, and with the utmost care, to virtuous and religious uses. None can, without being guilty of manifest injustice, cast any reproach upon it, or upon our design in publishing it. The advocates for the stage have in all ages made this the great argument to persuade people that their plays are useful, and that they ought to be allowed in the most civilized and in the most religious government, namely, that they are applied to virtuous purposes, and that by the most lively representations they fail not to recommend virtue and generous principles, and to discourage and expose all sorts of vice and corruption of manners. And were it true that they did so, and that they constantly adhered to that rule as the test of their acting on the theatre, much might be said in their favour. Throughout the infinite variety of this book, this fundamental is most strictly adhered to. There is not a wicked action in any part of it, but is first or last rendered unhappy and unfortunate. There is not a superlative villain brought upon the stage, but either he is brought to an unhappy end, or brought to be a penitent. There is not an ill thing mentioned, but it is condemned, even in the relation, nor a virtuous just thing, but it carries its praise along with it. What can more exactly answer the rule laid down to recommend even those representations of things which have so many other just objections lying against them, namely, of example, of bad company, obscene language, and the like? Upon this foundation, this book is recommended to the reader, as a work from every part of which something may be learned, and some just and religious inference is drawn, by which the reader will have something of instruction, if he pleases to make use of it. All the exploits of this lady of fame, in her depredations upon mankind, stand as so many warnings to honest people to beware of them, intimating to them by what methods innocent people are drawn in, plundered, and robbed, and by consequence how to avoid them. Her robbing a little innocent child, dressed fine by the vanity of the mother, to go to the dancing school, is a good memento to such people hereafter, as is likewise her picking the gold watch from the young lady's side in the park. Her getting a parcel from a hare-brained wench at the coaches in St. John Street, her booty made at the fire, and again at Harwich, all give us excellent warnings in such cases to be more present to ourselves in sudden surprises of every sort. Her application to a sober life, and industrious management at last in Virginia, with her transported spouse, is a story fruitful of instruction to all the unfortunate creatures who are obliged to seek their re-establishment abroad, whether by the misery of transportation or other disaster, letting them know that diligence and application have their due encouragement, even in the remotest parts of the world, and that no case can be so low, so despicable, or so empty of prospect, but that an unwearied industry will go a great way to deliver us from it, will in time raise the meanest creature to appear again in the world, and give him a new cast for his life. These are a few of the serious inferences which we are led by the hand to in this book, and these are fully sufficient to justify any man in recommending it to the world, and much more to justify the publication of it. There are two of the most beautiful parts still behind, which this story gives some idea of, and lets us into the parts of them, but they are either of them too long to be brought into the same volume, and indeed are, as I may call them, whole volumes of themselves, viz.